Okay, so now let's go forward and write another introduction. Here we are doing an introduction for the pie chart. Okay, so we're going to go through a really good example of how to do well when you're doing a pie chart or writing a pie chart introduction. All right, so as we said with the other ones, we have some information up here that describes what the pie chart is about. It says the graph showed changes in spending habits of people in the UK between 1971 and 2001. Write a report to a university lecturer describing the data. All right. So again, that gives us some general information what it's about. But you also want to look at both of the charts. We can see that we have basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 categories: food, books, computers, furniture, restaurants, petrol, cars. Yeah, 7 categories. We have 7 categories in each one, and we have 2 years: 1971, 2001. All right, and we're talking about spending habits in the UK. Okay, so we have to take that information, and we're going to make our own sentence. All right, take that information, and we're going to make our own sentence. And I'm going to increase the font size so you can see better. All right, so we're going to take that information, and here we go. We're going to make our own sentence. Going to indent. And I'm doing this in real time for you, so you can get a feel for exactly how you would do it on the real exam. It's not something that's prepared in advance. We're doing this in real time. All right, there's an example of an introduction. Again, we put it in our own words. In the years 1971 and 2001, citizens, instead of saying people, I said citizens, citizens of the United Kingdom. So instead of saying UK, I spelled it out. Show the grader you can spell. Utilize their funds. Instead of saying spending habits, I said utilize their funds in 7 different categories of spending. And the pie charts above capture this information for our benefit. So here, the grader is going to see, when the grader reads this introduction, they're going to see the person can use it. The person can use synonyms. They're going to see the person can create a compound sentence. We're using and so you're going to make a really good first impression for the grader by doing it this way. All right, so let's move on, and now let's go do another introduction. I'm showing you just, it doesn't matter what the type is. Introduction doesn't change. Okay, introduction doesn't. Okay, so now we're going to go over doing the overview paragraph, the second paragraph. Okay, remember we have 4 paragraphs we have to do. We've already done the introduction for the pie chart, and now we're going to do the general overview paragraph for the pie chart. Okay, so we're going in order. We're going in order in terms of doing our paragraphs. We have our introduction, and then we have our general overview paragraph that we have to do next. Okay, so let's take a look at it so you can get a good analysis and understanding of what you're supposed to be doing. General overview, we're looking at what can everybody see? What should everybody see? Because for the third and fourth paragraphs, when you're comparing specific details, that might be different. But the general overview should capture, it gives the person a general understanding of what we see, right? So when you're writing goes like an inverted pyramid. It goes like an inverted pyramid, an upside down pyramid, right? You have the introduction, which is really the basic information, which is the widest part. Then it moves in a little bit closer with the general overview. And then you have your specific paragraphs, which are your specific comparisons of details. And then you have your conclusion, which is the point. So it's an inverted pyramid. It's an upside down pyramid when you're doing writing. If that gives you a better understanding of how to really do it. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's have a look at the pie chart and the general overview. All right, so general overview, we're going to look at each year and keep it basic, right? Let's look at 1971, and we look at 1971 and we say, well, what was bought the least? Computers, right? What was bought the least? Computers at 2%. What was bought the most? Food, right? In 1971, food was bought the most at 44%. So that makes up our first sentence. Right, there's our first sentence. Overall, in 1971, these residents of the UK purchased computers less than any other item, yet food was the item that they spent the most on. Right, so we have our high and low for 1971. Okay, and then we look at the year 2001. To 2001. Right, now when it comes to 2001, comic books have taken on the bottom position and cars have replaced food for the top spending choice. Now if you notice, in the general overview paragraphs, we don't get into percentages. It's not time to get into percentages. We don't get into percentages. It's not time to get into percentages. Okay, when we're doing a general overview, we don't talk about percentages. I've said that 3 times now, so I hope I said it 3 times in 3. I said it 3 times in 3 different ways. So I hope you understand that. It's not until we get into the 3rd and 4th paragraphs that we really look at comparing the percentages. All right. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. So that's our general overview for a pie chart. Okay, now let's go ahead and move forward, and we can go ahead and add in our third and fourth paragraphs for the pie chart here. And as you know, for the 3rd and 4th paragraphs, this is where we make specific comparisons of the numbers. And so what we have to do is we have to look at the pie charts, and we have to break it into 2 parts. We need a part 1, which are going to be comparisons for our 3rd paragraph, and we need a part 2, which are going to be comparisons for our 4th paragraph. As you can see here, we've already written the introduction, and we've already written our general overview paragraph, and hopefully you've already listened to those lectures and you understand how to do it. Okay, you have a good understanding of really how to do it. But you can see we're using the same process. We're using the same 4-paragraph process for anything, for a pie chart, for a line graph, for a process, for a diagram. It doesn't matter. We're going to use the exact same process to do it. Does not matter. We can get through it and we can do it. Okay? So, as we're looking at this, we can go ahead and break this into 2 parts. So I'm really a big proponent. I'm really a big proponent of breaking things down into categories. I like to break them into categories. Some students will say, well, I'm going to just talk about 1971 in one paragraph, and I'm going to talk about 2001 in another paragraph. You can do that, but that's not really the best way to go about doing it. If they give you, just think about it, okay? Just think about it. If they give you 2 different years with the same categories, it's probably the most logical thing to do. We'll compare the differences for the categories for the different years. That's the most logical way to go about doing it. And we're going to compare the numbers. Okay, we're not going to be talking about in the 3rd and 4th paragraph, we're not going to be talking about this is the high number, this is the low number, this is the high number, this is the low number. We're not going to do that. Okay, we're going to make comparisons of the categories. So we're going to break it down into categories. We have 7 categories here. Okay, and so in my paragraph 3, as you've seen me doing before, in my paragraph 3, I'm just kind of breaking it down to you what I'm going to compare. I'm going to compare books, computers, furniture, and restaurants. Right? I'm going to compare their numbers between 1971 and 2001. Okay? And then in paragraph 4, okay, I'm going to compare, we're going to make comparisons of the numbers for petrol, cars, and food. Okay? And that's what we're going to do. And what we're going to do are compare numbers. That's all, everybody. Compare the numbers. Compare the numbers. Right? So for books, we can see that books in 1971 are at 6%, and then in 2001 they fell to 1%. And we see computers rose from 2% to 12%. Okay, so that's going to make up our first sentence. So, from 1971 to 2001, books fell by 5%. But the computer spending jumped from 6% to 12%. And I wouldn't just say doubled. From 6% to 12%, right? So I talked about books and I talked about computer spending. Computers went from 2% to 12%. From 2% to 12%. A 10% rise. That's how we could write that sentence. Right now, what did furniture do? Furniture had a minimal fall of 1%, and restaurants doubled from 7 to 14%. Oh, hold on, everyone. We're putting this in the wrong spot. Hopefully, if you were in my class, physically in my class, you would tell me, hey, teacher, you're writing this in the wrong spot. Okay. Okay. And there we have our comparisons. However, restaurant spending doubled from 1971 to 2001. The furniture needle really did move, as we can see, a slight fall from 9% to 8%. So you can see in this paragraph 3 how we're comparing numbers, right? You can see it. You can see how we're just making comparisons of numbers. And that's what you have to do. You have to be able to make really, really good comparisons of numbers. If you can make really good comparisons of numbers, that's how we do our paragraph 3. And then for paragraph 4, we're going to do the same thing in terms of petrol, cars, and food. So when we look at the chart, petrol made a slightly fail from 10 to 8%, and cars almost doubled from 22 to 43%. Okay, and food made the biggest fall from 44% to 14%. Wow, that's a big fall. Okay, so those are our numbers. Right, so food sales fell by 30% from 1971 to 2001. Whereas the car purchases more than doubled from 22% to 43%. Okay, that's our sentence. And then we need one more sentence talking about the petrol. As a final point, petrol slightly fell by 2% during this time period. Okay, and there we have it. We have our essay done. Okay, so you can see third and fourth paragraph. What are we doing? Comparing numbers. Right, third and fourth paragraph, we're comparing numbers. All right, that's what we're doing here. And you can see a variety of sentences. You see compound sentences, you see complex sentences, but this is what good writing of an essay looks like. It's not very big. Look at it. First paragraph, one sentence. General overview paragraph, 2 sentences. Paragraph 3, 3 sentences. Paragraph 4, 2 sentences. Right? So we only have 1, 3, 6, 8 sentences here. That's it. 8 sentences. And we have around 200 words. So this is a complete essay. All right? This is a complete essay. And this is going to get a very, very high mark because it fills up the stat sheet in terms of answering the question, having great coherence, having great vocabulary, having great grammar. Okay? So this is how you want to be able to do your third and fourth paragraphs. You break them into parts. Okay? You break them into parts. That's how we do it. Okay? That's how we do it right there. There's our third. There's our fourth. Okay.